Hi everyone, welcome to College Entrance Exam Review Series. In this tutorial series, we are going to answer questions about basic algebra and arithmetic with some explanations. This is part 5 of 10 with the topic quadratic equations and inequalities. So let's start. Find the value of x in the quadratic equation x squared minus 25. So to answer this, all we have to do is to write first the equation x squared minus 25 equals 0. Now let's isolate the variable part x on the left hand side and let's put negative 25 on the right hand side. We can do that by adding 25 on both sides. So we have the equation x squared equals positive 25. So to get the answer for this, let's get the root of both sides. X squared root is x, and the square root of 25 is positive negative 5. So therefore, our answer is letter number 2. The roots of the quadratic equation x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0 are blank. So let's get the root of the quadratic equation. To get the root of quadratic equation, let's copy it first. X squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. So this is a quadratic trinomial. So to factor this, let's write two sets of parentheses and let's get the square root of the first term, which is x. That is x and x. Now look at the sign of the last term. If it is positive, therefore the sign of these two parentheses should be the same. It's either positive positive or negative, negative. Now, which one should we use? Now, look at the sign of the second term. If it is negative, then we have negative and negative. Now, what is the factor of 6 that if we add up, the answer would be 5? So the factor of 6 is 1 times 6, 2 times 3. So 1 times 6, if we're going to add it, the answer is 7. And 2 times 3, if we're going to add 2 and 3, the answer is 5. So let's get 2 and 3. So let's 2 here and 3 here. So now we have this factor. Now let's equate this both factor into 0 because for it to be able to be equal to 0, one of them should be equal to 0. So we have x minus 2 equals 0 and x minus 3 equals 0. Then add 2 on both sides, we can, or transpose negative 2, so we have x is equal to 2 and x is equal to 3. So the answer should be letter C. The quadratic equation x squared plus 6x minus 2 equals 0 has, okay, now look at the choices. We're going to find the, they call this, the discriminant of the equation, so that we could know what are the characteristic of its root. Now to get the discriminant, all we have to do is to find the value of b squared minus 4ac. So we're going to need to find the value of it. Now in this equation, the value of a is 1, the value of b is 6, and the value of c is negative 2. Again, a is 1, b is 6, and c is negative 2. This is a, the coefficient of this is a, the coefficient of this is b, and this is c. So now let's try to solve for the discriminant. B squared minus 4ac. So what is b? That is 6 squared minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by negative 2. That is c. So 6 times 6 is 36 plus because negative 4, negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, and negative 4 times 2 is 8. So plus 8. So 36 plus 8 is 44. Now remember this. This is our discriminant. If we're going to check the rule for discriminant, 44 as our discriminant. If that our discriminant is greater than 0, then it has two roots. If our discriminant is equal to 0, then we have one root, one real root. And if we have our discriminant is less than 0, it has no real roots, only imaginary solution. So in this case, 44 is greater than 0. Therefore, it has two real roots. So the answer is letter D. Number 4, I'm sorry. What is the solution set of the equation this? Now let's find the solution set. The solution set meaning the values of x. Now let's try first to solve for this. So 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times x is positive 2x. Then 2 minus 5, 2 times 5 is negative 5 is negative 10. Now we should add this to 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12x. 3 times positive 6. 3 times positive 6 is 18. Positive 18. Now let's combine like terms. These are like terms. So we have 5x squared. Now this one. So that is negative 10x. Because this is positive, this is negative. Then this one. Negative 10 plus 18 is negative 10 plus 18 is negative 10 plus 18 is, I'm sorry, I'm stuck. Positive 8 equals 83. Now after that, let's transpose 83 on the other side. So we have 5x squared minus 10x plus 8 minus 83 equals 0. So now we have 5x squared minus 10x. Positive 8 minus 83 is negative 75 equals 0. So please remember this. I will be needing this I will erase the solution. So we have 5x squared minus 10x minus 75 equals 0. Now let's try to factor this out. So we know that they have common factor of 5. So we have let's divided both by both. Let's divide all the terms by 5. So 5x squared divided by 5 is x squared. 10 10x divided by 5 is negative 2x. Negative 75 divided by 5 is negative 15 equal to 0. Now let's factor this out. Again, for quadratic trinomial, let's do this. X here, the square root of the first term. Then this is negative, so therefore one of it should be positive and one of it should be negative. Because unlike sign gives us what we call this a negative product. Okay, now what's the factor of 15 that if we subtract to each other, the answer is 2. So the factor of 15 that if we subtract with each other, the answer is 2 is um, 3 times 5. So if we subtract 3 from 5, the answer is 2. So therefore, 3 and 5 is our answer. Now, let's decide where to put 3 and where to put 5. Since this is negative, the value of our highest product should be negative. So we put 5 here and we put 3 here. Now, let's disregard 5 because if these two are 0, then therefore 5 will not matter anymore. So x plus 3 equals 0. Then x minus 5 equals 0. Therefore, the values of our x is negative 3 and x is positive 5. So that would be our value. Negative 3 and positive 5. And we have that here, letter A. Now, number 5. The solution set for inequalities x squared minus 4x minus 21 is. Okay, now let's solve for the inequalities of this. First, let's factor this out. X squared minus 4x minus 21 is less than or equal to 0. So if we factor this out, the square root of this is x. X, if this is negative, it would one is positive, one is negative. Now, what is the factor of 21 that if we subtract, the answer is negative 4. So the factor is 7 and 3. Your 7 times 3 is 21. Now, since this is negative, we will put negative, we'll put 7 in the negative sign and 3 on the positive side. That is less than or equal to 0. Now remember this. Now remember this. If we have this kind of equation where A is a product, A and B is a factor, and the product should be less than 0. The only thing there we should have is that one of these should be negative and one of these should be positive. Let's try both case. So let's say x plus 3 is negative or equal to 0, and x minus 7 should be greater than or equal to 0. There should be, this one should be negative and one should be positive in order for us to get a value of negative, because negative times positive should be negative, and negative is always less than 0. So now let's get the value of x here. X is less than or equal negative 3, then x is greater than or equal 7. So if we're going to put this in a one line, x should be um, greater less than or equal negative 3, but x should be, and x is greater than or equal 7. So now if we're going to put this in a number line to for us to understand, we could say that this is the number line. So this is negative 3 and this is 7. So meaning the value of x should be greater than 7, meaning from here, and less than negative 3 in here. So all the values on the right side of negative 3, left side of negative 3, and all the values on the right side of 7 should be the value of our x. Now let's try that. Let's try, if we will put that here, substitute that here. Let's try negative, let's try positive 10. So 10 times 10 is 100 minus 40 minus 21. And that is not equal to 0. So therefore, we cannot use this as our solution. So there's another one. Let's change this. Let's make x plus 3 greater than or equal to 0. So let me, if x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 0, and x minus 7 is less than or equal to 0. We interchange it. So if we use it, if we do it, we have x greater than or equal negative 3, or x less than or equal 7. So if we're going to write this, x is less than 7 but greater than negative 3. So we're going to do that in a number line. This is 7. This is negative 3. So meaning greater than negative 3. So all of the values here from negative 3 to 7. Now let's try one value. We can find 0 between them. So let's try 0. 0 minus 0 minus 21. So the answer is 21. Therefore, the answer is number 6. What is the value of r and t in the quadratic equation the quadratic equation x squared plus rx plus t is equal to 0 if the root of the equation are 4 and negative 6. Again, the roots are 4 and the roots are x is equal to 4 and x is equal to negative 6. Now, if we equate this into 0, we have x minus 4 equals 0 and x plus 6 equals to 0. Now, if we're going to multiply both of this to get the equation, x times x is x squared, x times positive 6 is positive 6, 6x, the negative 4 times x is negative 4x, the negative 4 plus times 6, 6 is negative. So 6 times 4 is 24. So if we're going to add this, x is squared plus 2x minus 24. So the value of our r should be 2 and the value of our t is negative 24. So r is 2 and b is negative 24. The answer is letter B. Number 7. Which of the following inequality has the solution set of x such that x is greater than negative 2 and greater than and less than 9? So we have negative 2. Let's draw it first. This is the line. So we have negative 2 and 9. So if we're going to compute for the values of our x should be between these. Now let's check each equation who will satisfy this. Let's check a value that is less than negative 2. So we have that is greater than negative 2, that is negative 1, and less than 9, that is 8. Let's try 8 and negative 1 and 8. On letter A first. X squared, so 1 squared, like 1 squared is 1. So 1, letter A first. So 1 minus 11, 11 times negative 1 is negative 11. Then minus 18 is less than 0. So this one, if we're going to compute this will satisfy our equation. So this is correct in negative 1. Now let's try 8. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 8 is 64. Then 11 times 8 is 88 minus 18 is less than 0. So in this case, we can know that the answer for this is 130. It should be positive because we have a larger amount of positive. So this one is not our answer. Not our answer. Now again, negative 1 and 8. Let's try number 2. Number 2 for negative 1 first. So 1, negative 1 times 1 is 1. 11 times, negative 11 times negative 1 is positive 11 plus 18 should be greater than 0. So this is correct for negative 1 because this is a positive number. So this one is then all positive numbers greater than 0. So let's try 8. 8 squared is 64. 64 minus 88 plus 18 is greater than 0. So if we're going to compute it, the answer is negative 24 greater than 0. So this is not correct. So letter B as well is not correct. A and B is not correct, are not correct. Again, let's try letter C, negative 1 and 8. That's the value that we choose. So X, let's try letter C. So negative 1 squared is 1. Negative 7 times negative 1 is positive 7 minus 18 greater than 0. So this one is negative 10. So negative 10 is not greater than 0. So this C is not correct. We don't need to compute for 8 because in this one it is not correct from now. Now let's try letter D. We have the same value because we have the same right hand sign, and we should just change it. So let's solve it. Negative 1 and 8. Let's try for negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. Negative 7 times negative 1 is positive 7. Minus 18, that should be less than 0. So 1 plus 7 is 8. Minus 18 is negative 10. Negative 10 is less than 0. That is correct. Now let's try 8. 8 squared is 64. Negative 7 minus my negative 7 times 8 is minus 56 minus 18. And it should be less than 0. So 64 minus 56 minus 18 is 64 minus 56. That is 8. 8. Negative 8. Oh, no, no. 8. 8 only. 8. Then negative 18. 8 minus negative 18 is negative 10. So negative 10 is less than 0. So that this is correct. So the correct answer for this is letter D. Number 8. X minus 3 over x plus 2 is greater than 0. Then, now let's solve for the solution for this. To answer this, let's just check if the solution will follow. Let's try x is less than negative 2. So what is a number less than negative 2? A number less than negative 2 is negative 3. So let's try to substitute it. Negative 3 minus 3 over negative 3 plus 2. So negative 3 times negative minus negative 3 is negative 6 over negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 6 divided by negative 1 is 6. And 6 is greater than 0. So this is correct, letter A. But let's see if all the numbers greater than 2 would follow, or that's the only solution. We just need to check the others. So we know that A is correct. Now, less than negative 2. Less than negative. X is greater than negative 2. So let's try what is a number greater than negative 2. Negative 1. So negative 1 minus 3 over negative 1 plus 2 should be greater than 0. Negative 1 plus negative 1 negative 3 is negative 4 over 2. So negative 4 divided 1, sorry, I'm sorry. Negative 4 divided by 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 is not greater than 0. So letter B is wrong. Again, we just solved it here. This is the same as with the x is greater than negative 2. So we try negative 1. So this is incorrect. So we know that in this part that this is correct because we already checked it here. And that is correct. Now let's try to solve for x is greater than 3. What are the numbers greater than 3? Let's have 1. Let's have 4. So 4 minus 3 over 4 plus 2 is greater than 0. 4 minus 1, 4 minus 3 is 1. Then 4 plus 2 is 6. And 1 over 6 is greater than 0 because it is positive. It's only a fraction, but it is greater than 0. So therefore, we have correct answer of A and B. But I'm going to choose this is the best answer because it also has a solution set that is x is greater than 3. So the answer is letter D. Number 9. What is the solution set of the equation root of x plus 6 equal x? So let's solve this now. To solve this, we first need to eliminate the root sign. So we can do that by squaring both sides. So if we square it, we just cancel x. We just cancel the root and the square sign. So we have x minus 6 equals x squared. So let's transform this into a quadratic equation, a trinomial quadratic equation. We have x squared minus x. Oh, this is addition. I'm sorry. Minus 6 equals 0. So we have x squared minus x minus 6 is equal to 0. Let's factor this out. So x here, plus here, minus here. So two unlike sign because this is negative. So if we multiply these two unlike sign, we get negative. Now what is the factor of 6 that if we subtract together from each other, we get a 1 as an answer? That is 2 and 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So we will put 3 on the negative side because this is negative and 2 on the positive side. So this will be our equation. And now let's equate this into 0. X plus 2 equals to 0 and x minus 3 equals to 0. The values of our x is equal to negative 2 and x is equal to 3. Negative 2 and 3. Now, not this is not done yet because we first need to check if this will satisfy our solution. Remember, we are dealing with the radical equation, so there would be some extraneous solution for this. Maybe there will be some extraneous solution. Now, an extraneous solution are solutions that is good for our transformed solution, but not eh, but not in our but not with our real solution. So let's substitute negative 2 and 3 to this solution and see if we can get an answer. So let's try negative 2 first. So, so negative 2 plus 6 is equal to negative 2. That is the value for x. The square root of 4 is equal to negative 2. Square root of 4 is 2. Is equals to negative. The square root is equal to negative 2. So this is not correct. So 2 is extraneous solution, meaning it is good for this equation, but not for this solution. Now let's try 3. So we have root of 3 plus 6 is equal to 3. 3 plus 6 is root 9 equals to 3. Root 9 is 3 equals to 3. So 3 is correct. So therefore, our answer is letter B. Find the solution set of the equation. Okay. It seems hard because it is fraction, but it's somehow easy. All you need to do is to cross multiply it. We have x times x minus 3 is equal to 4 times 1. So we have x squared minus 3x is equal to 4. So we have x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. Now what is the factor of this? Again, this is a quadratic trinomial. So x here, since it is negative, so just positive here and negative here. Now what is the factor of 4 that if you subtract with each other, the answer is 3? So the factors of 4 is 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. So in this case, 1 times 4 is the perfect factor for this equation because 4 minus 1 is 3. So we put 4 and on the negative part and 1 on the positive part because the sign of our second term is negative. So that's why the greater number should be on the negative part. So we have x minus 4 is equal to 0 and x plus 1 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 4 and x is equal to negative 1. So this will be our answer. 4 and negative 1 and that is C. That is the correct answer. So that's all for today. Thank you for your time and that you made up until the end of the video. On the next meeting, on the next video tutorial, we're going to tackle about graphing and this will be part 1 of graphing. And that's all for today. See you.